The IRS revoked our 501c3 nonprofit status. The IRS revoked our 501c3 nonprofit status. Oh my goodness, I hear that so many times, at least 3 times a week. People call me on the phone in a panic because they received a letter from the Internal Revenue Service to let them know that their nonprofit status has been revoked, past tense. So I have to take my time and explain to them that it's not the end of the world and we can work through it and get their status back. So in this short video message, I'm going to walk you through the steps to learn how to get your 501c3 nonprofit status back after automatic revocation from the Internal Revenue Service. Please don't share this information with other people. It's copywritten information just for the people who are viewing this video message. So here's an overview. The IRS automatically revokes 501c3 status if an administrator fails to file the appropriate Form 990 information returns for 3 consecutive years. Let me pause and elaborate on this first statement. If you are the administrator or the executive director or someone in a position of power for a 501c3 nonprofit organization, then you need to know that you must file a Form 990 information return, which is a financial report, every single year. It does not matter if your nonprofit organization isn't offering any services. It does not matter if you're not generating any revenues for your nonprofit organization. It does not matter if you have zero revenues coming in. You still must file the appropriate Form 990 information return every single year. And appropriate means that there are different types of Form 990 information returns. The type of Form 990 information return that you file depends on the amount of assets and revenues that you have in your nonprofit organization at the end of the fiscal year. I'm not going to go any further in the weeds than that. And if you fail to file the appropriate Form 990 information return for 3 years in a row, you will receive a letter from the IRS to let you know that your 501c3 nonprofit status has been revoked. So by the time you get the letter, it's too late. The automatic revocation of tax exempt status is a document that the IRS provides to explain how the IRS revokes 501c3 nonprofit status and the 4 reinstatement options. So if you go to irs.gov, in the top right corner, if you type in automatic revocation of tax exempt status in the search field and press enter, you will get a link to this document. And this document will tell you how the IRS revokes 501c3 status, and it will describe the 4 reinstatement options. I'm going to actually explain those reinstatement options in just a moment, but this document spells it out for you as well. So, how to confirm revocation? How do you know that your nonprofit organization has been revoked? Well, of course, you got the letter, but there's another way you can also confirm revocation of your nonprofit. And let's talk about that. To confirm revocation for a 501c3 nonprofit organization, go to irs.gov and enter the nonprofit's employer identification number into the TEOS search field. Now you're going to go to irs.gov in the top right corner, you're going to type in TEOS in the search field. That's going to give you a page. That page is going to have several fields or blank spaces for you to enter information. One of the blank spaces is the EIN blank space. So you would enter in your 9-digit EIN for your nonprofit organization, and you will click on the search button. That search button will reveal the information about your nonprofit organization. It will show you whether or not it is revoked or whether or not it's in good standing. So that's the step to confirm revocation. The revocation list is another document that the IRS provides. It's an official IRS record of organizations that have lost their exempt status for failing to file for 3 consecutive years. So on the IRS.gov website, you can look at an entire list for all of the organizations in the United States of America that have lost their 501c3 nonprofit status. Now, why would you want to know that? Well, perhaps you were thinking about investing in a nonprofit organization and you want to know what the status is. Well, that list will show you what the status of all organizations are that have been revoked. Third, an automatically revoked organization whose exempt status is reinstated still remains on the list forever. However, the list will have the reinstatement date. So let's say that your organization was revoked. You went through the process to getting it reinstated. The information that a person would find about your organization will show the reinstatement date of your organization, but it will never ever not let the public know that your nonprofit had been revoked in the past. So what it will show is when you type in your EIN, you type in, click search, the results will display the name of your nonprofit organization, the revocation date, and the reinstatement date. That's how your nonprofit will show in the list. There are 4 reinstatement options that I alluded to before. Option number 1 is in a section 4. Now, don't ask me why the IRS labels things the way that it does. I have no idea. But the first option is called section 4 of the reinstatement policy, and it's called streamlined retroactive reinstatement. That you can use this option to apply for reinstatement that's more streamlined because it's, for example, for people who just got revoked. I mean, they have not been revoked but a couple of months and they are ready to get reinstated. They can use option 1. Option 2, which is under section 5 of the rules, is called reinstatement, retroactive reinstatement within 15 months. So if you were revoked and it's and if you are in a position to get reinstated within 15 months after revocation, then you want to use option 2. And it's more detail around this, everybody. You get like a whole half a page of information regarding these options that I'm sharing with you. I'm just giving you a brief overview of them. But when I complete the reinstatement applications for my clients, I have the actual rules in front of me. So I'm just giving you the highlights of each one. Option 3, section 6, retroactive reinstatement after 15 months. So if you want to get reinstated and you have been revoked for over 15 months or your status has been revoked for over 15 months, then you want to use option 3 from section 6. And finally, you have option 4, section 7, which is a postmark date reinstatement. And this option is when you want to get your nonprofit reinstated, but you don't want to go retroactive back to the original date of approval. You don't care about that. You just want to get your nonprofit reinstated. So when you do the postmark date reinstatement option, which is the last option, that means whenever you get your nonprofit reinstatement letter saying congratulations, you've been reinstated, what it will show is the date in which the IRS received your reinstatement application as the date of reinstatement. So if you sent in your application or submitted, it's online now, so they need to change the terminology from postmark date because it's not going through the mail anymore to submission date online. But anyway, the date in which you submit your application will be the date displayed on your reinstatement letter. That would be the date. So those are the four reinstatement options. And like I said, I just gave you just a little brief explanation of each one. However, when you download the document that I told you about before that lists all of the options, you will see quite a bit more information about each one. So, which option is best for your nonprofit organization to use to reinstate status? The answers to the questions below determine which reinstatement option is best for your nonprofit. Question number 1. What is your official incorporation date? When did your organization get incorporated by the Secretary of State's office in the state in which you operate? Number 2. What is the revocation date on your letter? Number 3. Did your organization qualify to file the Form 990N during the 3 consecutive years it did not file? And number 4, did your organization qualify to file the Form 990EZ during the 3 consecutive years it did not file? Now, if you're looking at those questions and you're thinking to yourself, what in the world? I do not understand any of this. That's okay because I can help you. I can help you get your nonprofit organization reinstated. I've done it many times and I know that I can help you. So who am I? I'm Susan Woods of Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions, and I have been helping people start and reinstate 501c3 nonprofit organizations since 2010. So I am celebrating my 15th year of providing done for you type services. I call it concierge services because I take care of everything. You don't have to do anything. I take care of all of the paperwork for you. I send you the paperwork so that you can review it and make sure everything is written to your satisfaction. So I do everything for you. I bring a wealth of experience to the table that I think is very unique because I have gone through the fire myself with starting nonprofits from scratch. I have two 501c3 nonprofit organizations in my name. One is called Comprehensive Community Based Solutions. The other one is called the Rebuild Clio Economic Development Foundation. I'm not going to elaborate on both of those right now, but just suffice it to say that I have completed the applications for both of them and I have earned the status to do good in my community. So I know what it takes. I know what it takes to complete the complex IRS paperwork. I have the nonprofit consultant services that I provide, which means I do complete 501c3 application packets for private clients or clients across the United States. So far, I have completed over 400 application packets for people to either start or reinstate nonprofits, and those people represent 33 different states. I facilitate in person and online classes for nonprofit leaders, teaching them how to start, fund, manage, sustain, and reinstate 501c3 nonprofit organizations. I believe in lifelong learning, so I have earned nonprofit management certificates from Duke University, Winthrop University, and from Wake Forest University because it's important for me and anyone else in this nonprofit consulting space to stay abreast of all of the changes that are always happening. And I should also add that I am subscribed to the IRS briefs so that I can always receive current information to my email as soon as the IRS makes updates to things that's happening in the nonprofit sector. And finally, I'm a 3-time graduate of Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina, earning a bachelor's degree in business administration, a master of arts degree in business education, and a Master of Business Administration degree. I take my work very seriously. In December of 2022, I left my full time corporate job as an instructional designer at Wells Fargo to focus on my business exclusively. So, for almost 3 years now, I have been an entrepreneur doing this work every day because I love helping people make a difference in their communities through nonprofit organizations. So, that's who I am. That's who I am. And I look forward to having an opportunity to talk to you about reinstating your nonprofit organization. I invite you to reserve a phone consultation with me so that we can sit down and have a conversation about what happened, what caused your revocation, how did you allow the 3 years to lapse? A lot of times people say, I just didn't know I was supposed to file a Form 990 if we're not really doing that much with our nonprofits. I thought you had to have $50,000 to even bother by doing that. Well, that used to be the case before 2006. Before 2006, the IRS said, hey, you know what? If you're not generating $50,000 or more, don't even worry about reporting your revenues to us. That's okay. But you can imagine the gigantic ocean size leap loophole that provided for people to cheat and to commit fraud. So the IRS decided that, you know what, we have to close this loophole. We have to close it. We have to say, okay, it doesn't matter if you have zero revenues. We need for you to put in writing and attest to the fact that you had zero revenues. And then you would complete the appropriate Form 990 for organizations that generated zero revenues. And that way the IRS will have on the record, what you indicated in terms of the status of your nonprofit organization. So during our phone consultation, we would discuss all of these things because I would need to get an understanding of what happened before I would be able to help you. Like I said, I've helped hundreds of nonprofit leaders get their 501c3 status reinstated. I use a very methodical approach to understanding what happened, and then I use a meticulous approach to completing a Form 1023 application to reinstate your nonprofit status. We collaborate with each other along the way, and those are the things I will explain in more detail during our phone consultation. So if you are ready to get your status reinstated, I invite you to use the link in the description of this video, in the description of this video, to reserve a phone consultation with me. The link will take you to my Square calendar page, and you just look at the dates that I have open for consultations, and you click on the date that works for you, and you reserve your time that way. I'm Susan Woods of Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions. If your nonprofit status is revoked, don't feel discouraged, don't feel angry, and certainly don't feel embarrassed. But let's go ahead and get your status reinstated so that you can start offering your services to the community all over again. Because unfortunately, when you're revoked, all operations must cease. You cannot accept any more donations from people during the time of revocation. You cannot even accept grant funding during the time of revocation because technically your nonprofit organization doesn't exist. So go ahead and reserve that phone consultation so that we can talk about what happened and how to move to the next steps to getting your 501c3 nonprofit status reinstated. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Have a great day.